"I have never seen anything like it," cried Mr. Wongtra. "The children are disappearing like rabbits. But you must not worry about it. They are all come. They will all come out in the wash." Mr. Wongtra looked at the little group that stood beside him in the corridor. There were only two children left, Mike Teavee and Charlie Bucket, and there were three grown-ups, Mr. and Mrs. Teavee and Grandpa Joe. "Shall we move on?" Mr. Wongtra asked. "Oh yes," cried Charlie and Grandpa Joe both together. "My feet are getting tired," said Mike Teavee. "I want to watch television." "If you're tired, then we better take the lift," said Mr. Wongtra. "It's over here. Come on in, widow." He stepped across the passage to a pair of double doors. The door slid open. The two children and the grown-ups went in. "Now then," cried Mr. Wongtra, "which button shall we press first?" "Take your pick." Charlie Bucket stared around him in astonishment. This was the craziest lift he had ever seen. There were buttons everywhere. The walls, even the ceiling, were covered all over the rows and rows and rows of small black push buttons. There must have been 1,000 of them on each wall and another 1,000 on the ceiling. And now Charlie noticed that every single button had a tiny imprint label beside it telling you which room you would be taken if you pressed it. "This isn't just any ordinary up and down lift," announced Mr. Wongtra proudly. "This lift can go sideways and long ways and slantways and any other way you can think of. If you can visit any single room in the whole factory, no matter where it is, you simply press the button, and zing, you're off." "Fantastic," murmured Grandpa Joe. His eyes were shining with excitement as he stared at the rows of buttons. "The whole lift is made of thick, clear glass," Mr. Wongtra declared. "Walls, doors, ceiling, floor, everything is made of glass so that you can see out." "But there's nothing to see," said Mike Teavee. "Choose a button," said Mr. Wongtra. "The two children may press one button each, so take your pick. Hurry up, in every room something delicious and wonderful is being made." Quickly, Charlie started reading some of the labels alongside the buttons. "The rock candy mine, 10,000 feet deep," it said on one. "Coconut ice skating rings," it said on another. Then strawberry juice water pistol. "Toffee apple trees for planting out in your garden all sizes. Exploding sweets for your enemies. Luminous lollies for eating in bed at night. Mint jujubes for the boy next door. They'll give him green tea for a month. Cavity filling caramels. No more dentists. Stick jaw for talkative parents. Riddle sweets that riddle delightfully in your tummy after swallowing. Invincible chocolate bars for eating in class. Sugar-coated pencils for sucking. Fizzy lemonade swimming pools. Magic hand fudge when you hold it in your hand. You taste it in your mouth. Rainbow drops suck them and you can spit in 6 different colors." Come on, cried Mr. Wongtra. "We can't wait all day." "Isn't there a television room in all this lot?" asked Mike Teavee. "Certainly there's a television room," Mr. Wongtra said. "That button's over there," he pointed with his fingers. Everybody looked. Television chocolate, it said on the tiny label beside the button. Whoopee! Shouted Mike TV. That is for me. He stuck out his thumb and pressed the button. Instantly there was a tremendous whizzing noise. The door slammed shut and the leaf leaped away as though it had been stung by a wasp. But it leapt sideways, and all the passengers except Mr. Wonka, who was holding onto the strap from the ceiling, were flung off their feet onto the floor. Get up, cried Mr. Wonka, roaring with laughter. But just as they were staggering to their feet, the lift changed direction and swerved violently around the corner, and over they went once more. Help! Shouted Mrs. TV. Take my hand, madam, said Mr. Wonka blandly. There you are, now grab this strap. Everybody grab a strap, the journey's not over yet. Old Grandpa Joe started to his feet and caught hold of the strap. Little Charlie, who couldn't possibly reach that as high as that, put his arms around Grandpa Joe's leg and hung on tight. The lift rushed on at the speed of a rocket. Now it was beaming to climb. It was shooting up and up and up on a steep slanting course, as if it were climbing a very steep hill. Then suddenly, as though it had come to the top of the hill and gone over a precipice, it dropped like a stone, and Charlie felt his tummy coming right up into his throat. And Grandpa Joe shouted, Yippee, here we go! And Mrs. TV cried out, The rope has broken. We're going to crash. And Mr. Wonka said, Calm yourself, my dear lady, and patted her comfortingly on the arm. And then Grandpa Joe looked down at Charlie, who was clinging to his legs, and he said, Are you all right, Charlie? Charlie shouted, I love it. It's like being on a roller coaster. And through the glass walls of the lift as it rushed along, they caught sudden glimpses of strange and wonderful things going on in some of the other rooms. An enormous spout with brown sticky stuff oozing out of it on the floor. A great cruddy mountain made entirely of fudge, with Oompa Loompas all roped together for safety, hacking huge hunks of fudge out of its sides. A machine with white powder sprang out of it like a storm. A lake of hot caramel with steam coming off it. A village of Oompa Loompas with tiny houses and streets, and hundreds of Oompa Loompa children no more than 4 inches high playing in the streets. And now the lift began flattening out again, but it seemed to be growing faster than ever, and Charlie could hear the scream of the wind outside as it hurtled forward, and it twisted and it turned and it went up and it went down and... I'm going to be sick, yelled Mrs. TV, turning green in the face. Please don't be sick, said Mr. Wonka. Try and stop me, said Mrs. TV. Then you better take this, said Mr. Wonka, and he swept his magnificent black top hat off in his head and held it out upside down in front of Mrs. TV's mouth. Make this awful thing stop, ordered Mr. TV. Can't do that, said Mr. Wonka. It won't stop till we get there. I only hope no one's using the other lift at this moment. What other lift? Screamed Mrs. TV. The one that goes the opposite way on the same track as this one, said Mr. Wonka. Holy mackerel, cried Mr. TV. You mean we might have a collision? I've always been lucky so far, said Mr. Wongtra. Now I'm gonna be sick, yelled Mrs. Stevie. No, said Mr. Wongtra. Not now, we're nearly there. Do not spoil my head. The next moment there was a streaming of bricks. The lift began to slow down, then it stopped altogether. Some right, said Mr. Stevie, wiping his great sweaty face with a handkerchief. Never again, gasped Mrs. Stevie. And then the doors of the lift slid open and Mr. Wongtra said, Just a minute now, listen to me. I want everybody to be very careful in this room. There is dangerous stuff around in here and you must not tamper with it.